Hey Reddit, I've been lurking here for years, reading all those wild stories about marriages falling apart, and now here I am, spilling my guts because I don't know where else to turn. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. I'm writing this from my new apartment, staring at a half-unpacked box of kitchen stuff that reminds me of the life I used to have. It's been a roller coaster, and honestly, I never thought I'd be the one typing out a confession like this. But if you're into real-life drama without the Hollywood gloss, stick around. This is my story from the inside out. The good, the bad, and the downright messy. We'd been married for 12 years when it all started to unravel. Not in some dramatic fight or anything like that. It was more like a slow leak in a tire you don't notice until you're stranded on the highway. I met him right after college, back when we were both grinding away at entry-level jobs in the tech sector. He was in software development. I was in marketing for a mid-sized firm. We bonded over late nights at coffee shops, complaining about bosses and dreaming about buying a house someday. Fast forward through the wedding, small backyard thing with family, the first apartment that smelled like old carpet, and suddenly we're parents to 2 kids, a boy who's now 10 and a girl who's 8. Life was stable. We had a mortgage on a 3-bedroom in a suburb outside a major city on the East Coast, the kind with good schools and neighbors who wave but don't pry. But stability can feel like stagnation if you're not careful. By year 10, I was promoted to a senior role, which meant more travel, conferences, client meetings across states. He'd stayed in his job, climbing the ladder steadily but without the same excitement. Our days blurred into routines. Wake up at 6, get the kids ready for school, drop-offs, work, pickups, dinner, usually something quick like pasta or takeout from the local Thai place, homework help, bedtime stories, and then collapsing on the couch for an episode of whatever streaming show we were binging. Sex was functional. Once a week maybe, if we weren't too tired. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't fireworks anymore. I started feeling this itch about 2 years ago. Not for another person at first, but for something more. I'd scroll through social media late at night, seeing friends from college posting about their adventures, trips to Europe, starting side hustles, reinventing themselves. Meanwhile, I was knee-deep in PTA meetings and quarterly reports. Therapy? We tried couples counseling once after a big argument about money. He wanted to save more for retirement. I wanted a family vacation. The therapist said we were communicating fine, just needed to reconnect. We scheduled date nights, but they felt forced, like checking a box. Then came the work conference in Chicago. It was a big one for digital marketing pros, 3 days of panels and networking. I wasn't looking for anything. I was there to learn about SEO trends and maybe snag some leads. But on the second night at the hotel bar, I struck up a conversation with a guy from a competing firm. He was sharp, funny in that dry way that makes you laugh without trying too hard. We talked shop, algorithms, ad spends, the latest privacy laws. Nothing flirty, just 2 professionals unwinding with craft beers. He mentioned his team was hiring and I joked about jumping ship. We exchanged business cards, and that was it. Back home, life resumed. But a week later, he emailed me, not about work, but sharing an article on a marketing tool we'd discussed. I replied, and it snowballed into casual chats. Emails turned to texts to video calls when I was working late. It was innocent at first, or so I told myself. He'd complain about his micromanaging boss. I'd vent about tight deadlines. We shared memes, recommended podcasts. He lived on the West Coast, so the time difference made it feel distant, safe. But here's where it gets real. I started comparing. My husband was reliable, the guy who fixed the leaky faucet without complaining and remembered to rotate the tires on the car. This other guy? He challenged me intellectually, made me feel seen in a way I hadn't in years. One night, after the kids were asleep and my husband was snoring beside me, I stayed up until 2 a.m., laughing at his messages. Guilt hit me like a truck the next morning, but I didn't stop. Why? Because it felt alive. For the first time in ages, I was excited about something that wasn't kid-related or work-mandated. Months passed like this. We'd plan virtual coffee during lunch breaks, talking about everything from politics. We both leaned moderate, frustrated with extremes, to favorite books. He loved science fiction. I was into historical fiction. He opened up about his divorce 5 years prior. No kids, amicable split over growing apart. I shared snippets of my life, careful not to reveal too much. My husband noticed I was happier, more energized. He even commented on it during dinner one evening. "You seem lighter lately. Work going well?" I nodded, smiling, but inside I was twisting. Was this emotional cheating? I Googled it in incognito mode, reading articles that said yes if it crossed boundaries. But I convinced myself it was just friendship. Then the first trip happened. My company sent me to a summit in Seattle, his city. I told my husband it was all business, which it mostly was. But I messaged the guy, suggesting we meet for drinks. He agreed. We met at a quiet bar downtown, away from the conference crowd. The conversation flowed like before, but in person, there was chemistry. Lingering eye contact, accidental touches. By the end of the night, we were kissing in the elevator back to my hotel room. I stopped it there, panicking, and went to bed alone. But the damage was done. The next day, I avoided him at the event, but we texted apologies and what-ifs. Back home, the guilt was overwhelming. I threw myself into family life, baking cookies with the kids, surprising my husband with tickets to a baseball game. But the texts didn't stop. They evolved, more personal, flirty. He'd send photos of his hikes in the mountains. I'd reply with pics of my garden. One evening, while my husband was at the gym, we had our first phone sex. It was impulsive, fueled by a glass of wine and loneliness. Afterward, I cried in the shower, promising myself it was a one-time thing. But it wasn't. Over the next 6 months, our friendship turned into a full-blown affair, albeit long distance. We'd meet during my travels, once in Vegas for another conference, another time in New York when he flew out for business. Each time I'd rationalize it. My marriage wasn't bad, but this filled a void. My husband was oblivious, or so I thought. He was dealing with his own stresses, a project at work that had him working overtime. Our sex life picked up a bit, ironically, because I felt guilty and initiated more. The turning point came during a family vacation to the beach last summer. We rented a house by the ocean, spent days building sandcastles and grilling burgers. It was perfect on the surface, but I was distracted, checking my phone constantly. One night after the kids were down, my husband and I sat on the porch with beers. He looked at me and said, "Something's off with you. Talk to me." I froze, then burst into tears, blaming work stress. He held me, promised we'd get through it. That moment should have been my wake-up call to end the affair. Instead, I messaged the guy later, saying I needed space, but only for a week. Looking back, that's when the cracks really showed. I started noticing little things. My husband seemed more distant, spending extra time on his laptop. I chalked it up to work. But one afternoon, while he was out running errands, I glanced at his browser history out of paranoia. There were searches for divorce lawyers in our state. My heart dropped. Had he found out? I confronted him that night, but he denied it, saying it was for a friend at work going through a rough patch. I believed him because I wanted to, but deep down, I knew something was shifting. By the end of that year, the affair was consuming me. I'd lie about late meetings to talk to the guy, sneak away during lunch for calls. The excitement was fading, replaced by anxiety. He started pushing for more, wanting me to leave my husband, move out west. I resisted, saying it was complicated with kids. That's when the first unexpected twist hit. During one of our meets in a neutral city, he confessed he'd been seeing someone else locally, casually. It stung, but I had no right to be mad. It made me question everything. Was this just escapism for both of us? I decided to end it, blocked his number, deleted emails, focused on my marriage. For a few months, things improved. We went to therapy again, worked on intimacy, but the damage lingered. I couldn't shake the guilt, and my husband, well, he started acting strange, more secretive with his phone, longer work hours. I wondered if he was having an affair too, but dismissed it. Irony, right? Little did I know, that was just the beginning. Okay, Reddit, if you're still with me after that novel of a first part, thanks for sticking around. I promise this gets juicier, or more painful, depending on how you look at it. Writing this out is therapeutic in a weird way, like confessing to a stranger in a bar. No judgments, right? Let's dive into the next chapter of my mess. After I ended the affair, I threw myself into repair mode, joined a gym, started a book club with some moms from the kids' school, even suggested we renew our vows for our upcoming anniversary. My husband seemed on board. We had more date nights, laughed more. The kids noticed. Our son said, "You guys are being weirdly nice." It felt like we were turning a corner, but guilt doesn't vanish overnight. I'd have dreams about the other guy, wake up sweating, check my blocked list to make sure I hadn't unblocked him. Work was a distraction. My team landed a big client, which meant bonuses and praise from the higher-ups. I channeled that energy into family. We planned a road trip to national parks, something we'd talked about forever. Packed the SUV with snacks, playlists, and camping gear. It was during that trip, driving through winding mountain roads, that things started unraveling again. My husband was behind the wheel, kids in the back watching movies on tablets. I was navigating with my phone when a notification popped up. An email from an unknown address. The subject, "Miss me?" I deleted it without opening, heart racing. Had the guy found a way around the block? I glanced at my husband. He was focused on the road, singing along to some 90s rock. I told myself it was spam, but more came. Texts from burner numbers, vague at first, thinking of you. Then photos, ones I'd sent him during our fling, cropped just enough to be teasing. I panicked, changed my number, but they kept coming via email. I confided in a close friend, the only one who knew about the affair, and she suggested it was harassment. "Report it," she said. But how? Admit to my husband I'd cheated? Meanwhile, at home, tensions built subtly. My husband started questioning my work trips more. "Who else is going? How late will you be?" I thought it was protectiveness, but it felt off. One night, after putting the kids to bed, we argued about finances. He wanted to refinance the house. I was hesitant because of market volatility. It escalated. He accused me of being secretive with money. "You've been transferring small amounts to a separate account," he said. I had a just-in-case fund I'd started during the affair, in case things blew up. How did he know? I admitted to the account but lied about the reason, saying it was for surprise gifts. He dropped it, but the seed was planted. That week, I noticed our joint bank statements had extra scrutiny, logins from his IP. Was he spying? Paranoia set in. I started checking his things, too. His work bag had a receipt for a lunch spot he'd never mentioned, in a part of town far from his office. Then the big twist. I got a promotion that required relocating to the company's headquarters in California. It was a dream job, higher pay, leadership role, but it meant uprooting the family. I brought it up over dinner, excited. The kids were thrilled about beaches and Disneyland. My husband? Stone-faced. "We need to talk," he said after they went to bed. That's when he dropped the bomb. He'd known about the affair for months. Not the details, but enough. He'd seen a text pop up on my phone one night when I was in the shower. Instead of confronting, he'd hired a private investigator. The PI had photos, timestamps of hotel check-ins. My world shattered. I denied at first, then confessed everything. The emails, the meets, the end. Tears yelling. He asked if I loved the guy. I said no, it was stupidity. But here's the unexpected part. He didn't kick me out. Said he wanted to try therapy for the kids. We slept in separate rooms that night. The next day, I called off the promotion. Couldn't move now. Work understood, but it stung. Therapy was brutal. The counselor dug into our issues, my dissatisfaction, his emotional distance. He admitted he'd felt neglected, buried in work. We made progress, or so I thought. Dates, better communication. Sex improved, more passionate, like reclaiming territory. But the harassment continued. Anonymous emails with details only the other guy would know. I finally confronted him via a new email, demanded he stop. He replied, denying it, saying he'd moved on, even attached a photo with his new girlfriend. Was it someone else? A hacker? I hired my own PI, but it led nowhere. Burner accounts, untraceable. Amid this, my husband's behavior shifted. He was kinder, but distant. Started going to the gym obsessively, lost weight, got a haircut. I complimented him. He smiled, but changed the subject. One evening, I found a women's earring in his car, not mine. He said it was from a coworker he gave a ride to after a team-building event. Plausible, but doubt crept in. The plot thickened when our daughter got sick. Flu, nothing serious, but it meant ER visit. While waiting, I checked his phone. Yes, I know, hypocritical. There were messages from a number labeled work colleague. Flirty emojis, plans for coffee. My stomach dropped. Was he cheating now? I didn't confront immediately. Instead, I dug. Used a friend finder app we'd installed for family safety. Saw his location at a coffee shop during overtime. Drove there, parked across the street. Saw him with a woman, younger, laughing. They hugged goodbye, no kiss, but intimate. That night, I asked calmly. He admitted, emotional affair. Started after he found out about mine. Tit for tat, he said bitterly. No sex, just talks. He ended it when we started therapy. We cried, forgave, or tried. But the harassment escalated. A package arrived at work, printed photos of me and the guy, with notes threatening to send to my husband. I broke down, told him everything. He was furious, not at me, but the stalker. We reported to police. They said without threats of harm, limited options, changed emails, tightened security. Life stabilized uneasily. Kids thrived. Son in soccer, daughter in dance. We celebrated our anniversary quietly, but undercurrents pulled. I suspected he hadn't fully ended his thing. He questioned my loyalty. The real twist came during a routine checkup. My doctor ran tests, abnormal results. Turned out I had an STI, chlamydia. Treatable, but how? The other guy? We'd used protection, my husband. He swore fidelity except his emotional fling. Tests for him. Positive, too. But from when? Confrontation 2.0. He admitted his emotional affair wasn't just talks. One night, after a fight with me, he slept with her. Once. Guilt stopped him. But the timeline? After he knew about mine, revenge, sex, betrayal looped back. I felt justified in my anger, but hypocritical. We separated bedrooms again, talked divorce. Kids sensed tension, asked questions. We lied, said grown-up stuff. Therapy intensified. Counselor said mutual infidelity common in troubled marriages, but survival rare without trust rebuild. We tried. For kids, finances, house value up, but market shaky, familiarity. But the stalker? Police traced emails to an IP in our city, not the other guy. Who? My husband's fling partner? Jealous? Or him? Punishing me? Investigation revealed it was my husband. He'd set up the accounts, used VPNs. Why? To force confession, test loyalty? He denied, but evidence mounted. His laptop had the software. No, the twist. It was our neighbor. A guy we'd barely spoken to, obsessed after seeing me at block parties. He'd hacked my Wi-Fi, spied. Police arrested him. Relief, but damage done. Our marriage? Hanging by thread. Reddit, if you've made it this far, you're a trooper. This story's turning into a soap opera, but it's my life, unfiltered. No dramatic music swells, just real consequences. Let's keep going. Part 3, where things really hit the fan. Post-stalker arrest, we had a fragile peace. The neighbor was charged with harassment and cyberstalking. We got a restraining order. Community buzzed, whispers at school pickups, awkward waves. We focused inward. Family therapy now, including kids. They were confused, acting out. Son got in a fight at school, daughter had nightmares. We explained vaguely. Mom and dad are working on things. Intimacy? Tentative. We'd hold hands watching TV, share inside jokes, but trust was shattered glass, sharp edges everywhere. I'd flinch at his phone notifications. He'd question my work emails. We set rules, full transparency, shared passwords. It felt invasive but necessary. Work for me boomed. Despite turning down the promotion, I led a remote team successfully. Bonuses helped, we paid off debt. Husband got a raise too, eased financial strain. We remodeled the kitchen, new counters, appliances, as a fresh start project. Kids helped pick colors, made it fun. But under the surface, resentment simmered. During therapy, I'd bring up his affair. He'd counter with mine. Counselor mediated, but sessions ended in exhaustion. One night, after a particularly raw one, we had makeup sex, intense, angry. Afterward, lying there, he whispered, "Do you regret us?" I said no, but part of me wondered. The unexpected twist hit during the holidays. We hosted family, his parents, my sister, turkey, pies, football on TV. Amid chaos, my sister pulled me aside. "He's been texting someone." She'd seen his phone light up. I checked later, deleted messages, but recovery apps showed flirty chats with the same woman from before. "Miss our talks," she wrote. He replied, "Me too, but can't." Confronted, he swore it was closure. She reached out, I shut it down. But why delete? Trust eroded further. I suggested separation, trial to breathe. He agreed reluctantly. I moved to the guest room. We co-parented seamlessly on the surface. Kids struggled. Son asked why I wasn't sleeping in the main bedroom. We said snoring issues. Lame, but bought time. I started seeing a solo therapist, unpacked my affair's roots, childhood abandonment. Dad left when I was 10. Fear of settling. Made sense, but didn't excuse. Then a curveball, pregnancy test positive. How? We'd been careful post-STI treatment, but one slip during that angry sex. I told him. Mixed reactions, joy, terror. "Is it mine?" he asked half-jokingly. I snapped, of course, but doubt lingered for him. We decided to keep it. Another chance. Prenatal visits together, ultrasounds bonding us. Kids excited for a sibling, but complications arose. High blood pressure, bed rest ordered. He stepped up, cooked, drove kids, worked from home. During bed rest, boredom led to reflection. I journaled, read self-help books, realized my affair stemmed from unaddressed depression, postpartum from second kid, never treated. Started meds, mood lifted, but his secrets resurfaced. While he was out, I found hidden files on his computer, bank statements for a secret account, withdrawals to a law firm, divorce papers drafted months ago before the pregnancy, fury. Confronted him with printouts. He broke. I was preparing, in case. But why hide? Because I love you but can't forget. We yelled, kids overheard. Daughter cried, "Are you getting divorced?" That night, we laid it out. Yes, considering. Therapy for them intensified. I moved to a short-term rental nearby, cozy apartment, but lonely. Saw kids daily, shared custody unofficially. Pregnancy progressed. He attended appointments, supportive, but emotionally distant. I dated myself, walks in parks, coffee alone. Realized I could survive solo. Twist number 2. At a scan, doctor mentioned multiples, twins. Overwhelm hit. He was ecstatic. I terrified. Bonded over names, nursery plans, paused divorce talks. But reality intruded. His work sent him on a trip. I snooped his email. Trust issues die hard. Messages to the woman. Thinking of starting over. Plans to meet. Devastated, I packed more things, told him via text, "We're done." He rushed home, begged forgiveness. It was fantasy, never met. But enough, filed for divorce. Mediation started, assets, custody. House appraised high, we'd sell, split. He wanted joint custody. I agreed for kids. Pregnancy complications worsened, preeclampsia, hospitalized. He stayed by my side, held my hand during C-section. Twins born healthy, boy and girl. In recovery, emotions raw. He said, "I want to try again." I said no, too much pain. Discharged, I went to my apartment with newborns. He visited daily, helped, kids shuttled between. But the final twist, during mediation, his lawyer revealed he'd been promoted. big raise, but required move to Midwest branch. He hadn't told me. Wanted to take kids? Battle lines drawn. Hey again, Reddit. This saga's dragging on, but life's like that. Messy, prolonged. If you're invested, here's the divorce dive. No quick resolutions, just grind. Post-birth, hormones raged, twins colicky, sleepless nights. Husband helped, bottle feeds, diaper changes, but tension palpable. Kids confused. Why can't dad live here? Mediation failed over relocation. He argued better schools, family support, his parents nearby. I countered stability here, friends, activities. Court assigned guardian ad litem, interviewed us, kids. Discovery phase unearthed more. His affair wasn't one night. Emails showed months-long, overlapping mine. He'd lied about scope. My lawyer pounced, impacted alimony. He countered with my affair details, mudslinging. Assets divided, 401,000 split, house sold, market dipped, loss taken. Child support calculated, his income higher, so he paid more. Twist. During home appraisal, found structural issues, foundation cracks from undetected water damage. Repairs ate profits, argued over who pays, settled split. Custody hearings brutal. Son testified, age appropriate, wanted both parents, daughter too young. Gal recommended joint, no relocation, ties here strong. Judge agreed. He stayed local, turned down promotion. Bittersweet victory. But emotional toll. Depression hit hard. Therapy, meds adjusted, friends rallied, meal trains, babysitting. He dated the woman openly now, saw them at a park once with kids, awkward. She seemed nice. Jealousy flared, then faded. My life, single mom to 4, work flexible, remote mostly. Started online dating cautiously, no rushes. Another twist, tax audit. Joint filing error from affair year, hidden expenses. Fines shared. Bonded over IRS calls. Laughed ironically. Finalized divorce 6 months post-filing. Signed papers in lawyer's office. Civil, teary goodbye. Freedom bittersweet, first year rough. Co-parenting app for schedules. Kids adjusted. Therapy helped. Thrived, actually. Son excelled in school, daughter made friends. I dated, met a guy through work, kind, no drama, slow burn relationship. Husband? Married his fling quickly, moved to suburbs nearby, kids split holidays. Twist, twins paternity test, his insistence during divorce. Not his. Wait, what? From affair? Timeline didn't match. Recheck, lab error first time. They were his. Relief but trust gone forever. Me now? Promoted again, bought townhouse. Kids happy, I am too. No regrets, growth from pain. Unexpected end, we became friends, ish. Coffee for kid stuff, civil, life moves on.